All right, this thing on? This thing on? Hello, it's stream number 122. So today I am going to go revisit my prototype entity component system based game and bring in Lua to replace C++ for the systems of the game. So I've integrated Lua in the past in a few other hobby projects, so I'm going to rely heavily on the old work I did there and do a lot of copying over. So this is not really from scratch, but based off of some earlier work. So the plan of action is to bring in Lua into the backend, and then integrate the components of the game with Lua. So there are 11 different component structures and a component manager. Oh, look at that. I already got a follow today. Thank you for the follow, Camehouse. So, yes, integrating the 11 different component structures with Lua, and then porting the code. So I have no idea how long this will take, but we'll see how much I can get done in one day. So, yes, last stream I worked on prototyping drawing UI elements. Actually, what am I doing? I should have my console up here to show that. Let's see, build. Let's run the back end here. Then whenever anyone comes in and asks you, what is this prototype game? I can actually show it. I should have had this set to go already. Hey there, Rokelthrick. Still have a feeling I'm saying your name wrong. I'm probably saying it differently every time. Hey there, 3D Extended. How's it going? Wave and wave. Okay. Yeah, I should have started this up before I streamed, but I'd be lazy today. All right. Almost there. It's just me unable to say your name right. It's not you. I'm thinking about changing my name to remove the 4 digits off the end. I put it in there just, I don't know why. Maybe because Adam did. Or because I thought Ryman would be too short. I don't know. Think about removing it though. Or maybe just pick a new name like Mr. Pink Pants or something. I don't know. Anyway, oh yeah, I put in this debug thing last night. So, connecting to the game. So what I did yesterday was I did this stuff here. So now the current score, the health, and if we have any potions or not, it shows up here. And we have a nice big connect button. And the controls are broken. That's interesting. Oh. I know what I did. I broke it. Let me fix the game first. Maybe I can just stash all the changes I had made. I didn't check them in anyway. Yes, actually I don't need that dot file anymore. Let me just stash all those changes. There. And oops, where'd it go? There we go. So here's this prototype game that I made. It's based off of Gauntlet. So you go through this little dungeon room and you collect the treasure, you avoid the ghosts or you shoot them with your throwing axe, and you can collect the potion. You can see the work I did before, work I did yesterday. Now it's the display is integrated with the game. Why do you want to use a third language besides C++ and JS? Oh, the benefit I get from using Lua is I can change the game systems without rebuilding the backend. So that's what I really hope to improve the workflow of changing the game's logic in the real game. With Lua, I can just simply, it's not simple actually. You reevaluate a new Lua script and it replaces the systems like without having to restart or rebuild or anything. So that's the benefit. Also, the Lua is kind of a nice language. I enjoy working with it. It's nice and simple. It's less strongly typed, which can be a good thing sometimes. So yeah. Are you thinking about using JS as well for this? I'm gonna stick with using JS on the front end, not worry about it in the back end. C++ supports hot reloading too. Yeah, I know. I've done it myself too. It's a pain in the butt. I don't really want to do it again. Actually, I sort of am supporting hot reloading by having a server cluster. I can you still have to recompile, and you reload just one of your servers at a time, and you just do a little server dance where you upgrade your server until they're all upgraded. But and I've done hot reloading with DLLs too. It's just a pain. I did that for the prototype that I was working on before I was streaming on Twitch. I'm gonna die if I don't get to the exit. Look at that, I'm running out of health. I'm starving to death. Hey, I win. Yeah, so I did that before. I don't really want to do it again. It was sort of painful. Handmade Hero is much better coder than I am. Alright, so that's the prototype game, and right now the systems are, well, not in this file. This is a file I'm going to be copying from. The systems are in the back end under systems. So this is like the AI system. It's a mess. But let's see, one that's simpler would be hunger. So every 10th tick we iterate through all heroes, and if a hero has a health component and a position and their hit points are greater than 0, we tick off a health point or hit point, and if it reaches 0, we say the entity is starved to death. Starving to death kills the entity. So all of this logic I want to try to move into Lua today. Think it'd be more beneficial to stick to one language for the backend though? Could be. Well, we'll see. Part of the thing is like see how things go. Oh, someone's home. I'll be right back because I want to hear about what happened at the yeah. I'll be right back. Okay. Hey, I'm back. So yeah, it was happy resolution to a problem with the DMV. I'll just leave it at that. DMV sucks. Department of Motor Vehicles, for those of you who don't know what DMV stands for. And it's really messed up these days. And yeah. Issue resolved though, but it required setting up an appointment and waiting several months. And yeah, fun times. Okay, back to work. So I'm going to try to bring Lua in to replace this. So one thing at a time. I first need to bring Lua in. And that is available. I don't know where, so I'm going to look. Yes, the old project I had. Lua. No, that's not where I put Lua. Bitbucket. Why do I have it on Bitbucket? Okay, well, let me push it to GitHub first. Let me make sure I have it. Go into my off-screen thing, because I don't like to show my GitHub on stream. I am paranoid about it. Yep, indeed, I don't have Lua there. So I'm going to go to this old project here. Go to Lua, and just git remote add GitHub. What is it? Git at github.com, Rimo8354. And I'm going to create a repository called Lua. Public Okay, let me review. Oops, that's not going to work. Let me review the changes I might have made to it. Okay, I just made it easier to build with CMake. Yes, I had CMake support. I had a really old SCons based stuff that I abandoned. I think I cleaned it up. Yeah, removed old build files. Okay, so it should be pretty clean. Let's push, git push. Do I want to do a mirror? Well, hold on. Branch, oh, I want to push the master and the vendor branches. Git push, GitHub, master. And vendor. Vendor doesn't match anything. Okay, check out vendor. Actually, maybe I do it this way. No, I have to actually check out vendor, I think. Now I can do it, right? Yep. Hey there, the epic unknown. How's it going? Alright. Now I can clone it over here. Actually, don't I have that still in my history here? Yes, I do. Git clone. Alright. And mugget add Lua. Okay. So, hold on. I need to see if there were some special instructions I had for pulling in Lua. I don't remember. Doesn't look like it. Oh, it had 3. If I wanted to show it in the IDE, I had special instructions. So we'll pull that over. That's fine. So Lua will go here, I guess. All right, let's build that. Building Lua, yay. Okay, we can build Lua. Let me run Lua to make sure. It's got its own little command line thing. New shell. Lua. Lua. A equals 2. B equals 4. A plus B. 6. Yes. 2 plus 4 equals 6, indeed. All right. Now to pull it into the back end. So I think I'll do what I did in the previous project, which is I had a class called the script host, and it pulled in Lua, and it implemented a lot of the stuff you need to integrate it with another program, like a reader state, an allocator, the reader itself, trace back for printing nice error messages, and then we have to keep track of a Lua state and any variables we want associated with sort of the glue layer between Lua and the rest of the program. So which I had been calling the host, or the script host. Yeah, we're gonna do stuff like this. Create a Lua new state. So Lua's nice in that its API is in C, and all of the built-in functions in Lua just start with Lua underscore, and Lua libraries are all Lua capital L. So we have a few standard libraries. I think if I go in there, I can see them. Right, there's package, coroutine, tables, IO, string, math, and you can either open them all or open only some of them. If you wanted to restrict, which I probably would do if I let players of the game do their own Lua, I'd probably have to restrict what libraries we load, because we don't want them to go to the OS layer, for example, or IO from Lua. We want to restrict that. But since I'm only going to do this from the systems, not from any player code, I think we'll just do We'll just do what I did before and open all of them. And yeah, we're going to do a bunch of these things where we create a meta table to represent the glue layer, and then we just create entries in that meta table that if you were to call them, they end up calling C functions or C++ functions. And basically, we end up making a Lua object with a meta table that if you use that object, it's sort of like you're calling back into your main program. And then calling in the other direction is through a Lua pcall, which is probably down here somewhere. Or was it up here? It's around here somewhere, so let me search for it. Pcall. Here we go. So you do a load to basically compile. I think this compiles. This compiles the Lua, and then pcall is a protected call of the loaded chunk, I think they call it, or block. So when you load, it compiles the Lua, so you could have syntax errors, you could run out of memory, you could have, I think this is garbage collection, memory manager error, but usually you'll get an OK, which then you can call a pcall, protected call, so that you can, if the call fails or there's an exception, you can get an error back. Lua is a stack-based language, so you'll see a lot of numbers, which are basically stack references. Negative numbers are counting from the top of the stack, and positive numbers are counting from the bottom. And sometimes these numbers are actual stack locations, like I just mentioned. Other times they are a number of stack entries. So like if you had a pop, it would be the given number of entries from the top. Set top is popping them all until you get to index 1. Stuff like that. So there's going to be a lot of that stuff to... It might look kind of strange if you're not familiar with Lua's C API. Alright, so... Yeah, I'm going to make a little home for the script host within the backend. So let's make under source a new file. I'll just call it the same thing, script host.hpp and script host.cpp, and then we'll add that to the make file. Script host cpp. Alright, and then we're going to follow the precedent of not using the old header guard, but using the new one. So far so good, right? And... I never did have a block level comment for these files, did I? This one does, though. Oh, it has the old guard. Old guard. Okay, let's do the right thing here. Actually, yeah, I'm thinking like, how much commenting do I want? How much commenting do I want? Maybe not that much. I'll have a top level one. This module declares the script host class. And do I have, I didn't even bother having namespaces, did I? So it's just, actually, I guess I will document the class. Okay. This is the glue layer between the rest, actually between the Lua-based systems and the rest of the backend. Alright, so what do I need to steal from the old script host? I guess I'll do the same thing I did before, as I just use a pimple pattern. And I need to have a little bit of, hold on. Actually, do I need to do all that formality? Maybe not. Okay, I did here, so might as well do a little bit of formality. So this, we need memory. This is indented funny. And game is script host. Do we need an ID? What was that ID from? Game. I never documented what it was. What did I use ID for? Oh, it was to print diagnostic messages about that game. Do I care? I don't think so. I don't think we're gonna have diagnostic messages. Actually, well, we will. But I'll just say script host. Okay, so we don't need to say explicit. Alrighty. Script host CPP. This module contains the implementation of the script host class. So we need the destructor, constructor, and the impl structure. And I'm not going to bother with comments, because it be a prototype, right? Actually, this can just be defaulted. This one... Actually, this one can also be defaulted. And include the right header. And then build. And, oh, I'm not running it correctly. I keep forgetting this. I made a nice script called do it. That makes a copy and runs the copy so I can rebuild the backend while running the game. Okay, so I'm going to do this periodically through the stream. I'm just going to keep your interest up, show my prototype. And I should show it now before I break the systems in it. So it's just a little game based off of Gauntlet that I'm using to prototype ECS. So I have 11 different components and 8 different systems to play the game. So, for example, all the keys that I'm holding down to move and fire are the inputs component, and there's a player movement and player firing systems that use that. The ghosts are using a monster component along with positions and tiles, and there's an AI system that drives their movement and doing damage to the player if they reach me. And there's a hunger system. See, my health is taking away if I just stand around. And there's a pickup system for picking up things like the treasure I did earlier, and then this potion. So yeah, that's the game so far. For the prototype game. Prototype game, because this isn't really the main game I'm designing. This is a smaller version of some of the concepts of the game I want to make, so I can test out things. Hey there, said who. I'm doing okay. I'm actually cheered up now because the problem with the DMV that we had has been resolved by my lovely wife, so we are happy now. Let's see. What am I doing? Script host. Right, so we should, in the constructor, actually I guess the default constructor is not going to be a default. We're going to do the Lua stuff here. So yeah, today I am replacing the systems of the prototype game, which are in C++, with Lua. So I'm bringing in Lua into the back end right now. Okay. Yeah, about the DMV, by the way. I have to renew something else, and it has to be done with an appointment. I couldn't get an appointment because they're all booked up for 3 months. That's how bad it is at the California DMV these days. Okay. Right, the initialization is up here. I'm just going to copy this stuff. And paste. There we go. Actually, Lua is going to be replaced by impl Lua state. I'm just going to drop the underscore. So we'll call this... Actually, we have to be careful here. These references become impl Lua. Yeah, I like Lua. I didn't know Lua for the longest time, and I had a couple friends who were really, really into Lua. And I kept thinking, oh, these guys are nuts. And then I finally looked into Lua at one point because I needed some way to have mutable logic in a program, like as in build a program, deploy it, and then when it's out there, be able to change some of the logic in it, like runtime. And at first I used Perl, and then I switched to Python at one point, and then I switched to Lua, and Lua was such a nice change of pace because both Perl and Python had these enormous runtime libraries that I had to drag along with it, and the files, huge directory trees of files had to be there. You had to like install things to get like basic functionality. And when I moved to Lua, Lua is nice and simple and compact, and it has a library that you bring with it, and it has most of the basic stuff you need. All right, Lua open. Okay, doesn't like it because I'm not telling it where to find Lua. That is this stuff. It is a C API, so we have this wacky little extern C include to pull it in. And I don't know why I can't... Oh, I know why I can't find it, because we have to say we depend on Lua. And Lua. All right, let's build that and make sure it builds. Cannot find Lua. Okay, so I messed up. Is it because it's not Lua? Is it capital Lua? I forget what it is. No. Okay, what is it? I'm going to cheat and look at my old project that pulled in Lua. See what it says. Oh, I built that separately? Okay. Huh, okay. Don't remember doing that. Okay, it was Lua Library. That's what it was. I think I picked that name. Yeah, there we go. Oh, something failed. Lua, okay, we don't have a Lua allocator, and then there's one Lua reference I missed. Line 28, this one. And we don't have Lua allocator. There's some boilerplate. I'll pull in all this boilerplate right now. There's a reader state, an allocator, and actually the reader state should go with the reader. I'll pull this in and change the arrangement. Actually, this should be just using namespace, anonymous namespace, because we can hide those symbols, right? I'm going to move the allocator above the reader state stuff. So we have an allocator for Lua, and then we have a reader and the state that it holds onto. It looks like I need standard string. And we're using free and realloc. That is in what, standard def? I don't remember, so I'm going to look it up. Where be my manual? There it be. Velocity. C. Free. Standard lib, okay. Standard lib. And string, of course. You got it, said who. You really liked ren.io? What is that? Ooh, it's yet another language. Look at that. I didn't know anything about this. Huh. All these languages look very similar. I mean, doesn't this look a lot like JavaScript to you guys? Okay, with a little bit of weird stuff in here. And this strikes me as a C# kind of thing. System dot. Yeah, a lot of languages inspire other languages, don't they? It's under 4,000 semicolons. I've never heard some code being measured in semicolons. You can skim the whole thing in an afternoon. It's small, but not dense. Okay. Huh. Interesting. Thank you for that, Postal Rat. Let me put that in my notes. Nice. Although, I still have a special place in my heart for Lua, so I'm going to continue. No offense. No offense to Ren, but today is a Lua day for me. Okay, so we can create a state and load the libraries, and I guess what we'll have is the game will hold on. The game holds on to the systems now, right? Instead, we'll just hold on to the script host. Yes, we have the systems here, so we'll hold on to the script host as well. I think what we'll do is code strangulation. We'll move the systems over one at a time. I'll keep the old systems in there, but one system at a time I'll move into Lua. So script hosts. A lot of snow? Yeah, I've heard... What is it? Washington State had a lot of... There were a lot of snow. There was that polar vortex over North America, bringing a lot of snow everywhere. And some of you guys are in Europe, right? With lots of snow as well. You wish Ren was used for more things. Lux Engine being the one you know about. Huh. Is it new? Is Ren new? You're in Canada. Oh. Well, you're used to snow, aren't you? Eh? Used to snow, eh? Alright, so that built, right? So we actually have Lua running now in the game. Should I just run it, make sure it doesn't crash? Let's run it, make sure it doesn't crash. We're not using it for anything. That's weird. Why is it taking so long to shut down? Interesting. I had to kill it. Forcibly. Alright, so their game is running. It's not using Lua, but it's there. Okay, so... let's make hooks in Lua to get the... actually, what all these systems end up doing is going to the components manager, right? Because... and there's also a we need a WebSocket wrapper as well. Right, so they're given a reference to a components manager. So I think that will be our main API from Lua, is we'll have a components object defined as a global variable, and we'll have these things you can call on it. So similar to how I did host here, we made a meta table called host, and at the end I made an object called host and set the host meta table for that host. We'll do the same thing for components. Actually, you know what makes sense to me is to let this be done just like I did these things. Delegate to the actual object, so we can have an initialize. Yeah, I'll just steal this exactly. That would be components here. So just put it here. This method is called a link the class with the given Lua interpreter. And we'll have to pull in Lua. Put that. Right. The standard 3 includes for Lua. And we will, I'm going to completely copy that. Actually, let me think about this. I think I'll just handwrite this one for now. I won't copy it. Pretty new, yeah. Yeah, it's like a golden age for languages, isn't it? There's like a ton of languages out there, so you don't have to just pick one. You have many to choose from. That might be a fun little project. Try to do the Ren equivalent of what I'm doing with Lua and just compare them. Why not, right? There's a Minecraft mod you learned Lua from that adds computers to the game. Oh, really? That's interesting because isn't Minecraft Java? So there must be some kind of Lua Java interface as well. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that stuff is pretty sick, right? As in, pretty cool that you can do so much automation in Minecraft. Okay, so this function should go... Actually, that goes in components. It goes above this one. Here we go. So remove the static, initialize, and I'll just copy what I used before, which is all this stuff. So we define a meta table and an index and new index. Sure, we'll bring in this. Well, do we need a toString? Just in case we print it from Lua. Yeah. So we'll bring that in. All these Lua underscores need to be just Lua. Actually, I'll just put the cursors after the underscore. And hit backspace. There we go. And then after we push all of our methods, we make a new user data, set its meta table, and we're done. Let's comment that specifically here. This is just our meta table and global instance. And this is the meta table. Now define global instance and attach the meta table. So if you don't know what meta tables are, it's a Lua thing. It's similar to a prototype in JavaScript, so it customizes the behavior of an object. In Lua, the primordial object is called a table. So a user data is a special kind of table where it is not backed by an actual hash table like a normal table is in Lua. It is purely a C construct. So you usually, in order to make use of a user data, you have to have a meta table. Otherwise, you can't do anything with it. It's really just an entity. What's that link? Oh, is that the computer? Cool. Hey there, Tropical Banana Man. Making me hungry for a banana. I have some in the kitchen. I might have to go run and get a banana. Okay, let me think about this. Okay, I can do it this way. So the actual backing of the user data will be the impl, our own impl structure. And we don't do this, we do impl get. Actually, let me think about this. Maybe it makes sense to change components to be a shared impl, and then actually make, instead of a raw pointer, make it shared so that the components are shared with Lua. Let's do that. So shared pointer, and then this becomes make shared. Otherwise it stays the same, and then I need to comment these out for a second. Oh, actually no, I can make these. That would be here. I'll just copy these. Index, new index, and toString. We'll start with those. So those can go up in the impl structure here. Glorious with comments and everything. Pizza? Now I'm really hungry. Do you put banana on the pizza? Is that a thing? People have banana slices on pizza? I guess you can put anything on pizza. This handles Lua index method. Meta method calls for the global. It's not host. It's components. I guess it's the same thing here. only we replace it there and there. Up and then down here. There we go. Okay, I need to change this now. So it's not a pointer. It is a standard shared pointer. And there's an extra level of indirection because you can Lua is a C API, uses a C API, so user data's they have to be primitive types. So a pointer is a primitive type. So we have a pointer in which we put a shared pointer and then we dereference it to get the shared pointer out. It's a little bit convoluted, but yeah, not too bad. It's a little bit of friction between C and C++ when we do that. Okay, and then down here when we make it, it's the same thing here. So that becomes shared pointer to impl. And then there was a special thing I had to do with placement new, I think. Yeah, let me find that. That's in a neighboring file here. So for example, this one. Here, placement new. So it's new. Okay, we'll rename this to components, right? Actually, that one and that one will be components. This one we'll call self. Is that how it's done? It's just, yes. It's just not get, it's just done that way now. And then it is impl for this type. So that's called placement new. But basically we're letting Lua create the memory or allocate the memory for the shared pointer, and then we're calling placement new to construct it in place. Wait a minute, why is it not like this? Oh, it's initialize. We can't make that static. Okay, yeah. That makes sense. So it's not static. Or actually, the other way to do it would be it's static and then have like the other thing had a push. Do you find it confusing time to time when working with them? Yeah. You get used to it after a while, especially with IntelliSense where you can hover over something or click it or whatever, and it will tell you the type. So I'm going to do this trick here. So I'll have a separate initialize and push. Actually, in this one, I don't want it to be static. Push. It's not the given object. Push the object onto the Lua stack, right? So this object. So that'll be this part of it. See if I get this right. So I don't need these comments anymore. So that is making the meta table. And at the end, we can pop the meta table in both places. In this one, we have to get the meta table. Which we do. Oh, it's actually. It was just set, right? Because it has a new name. As long as we do that. Yes. It's okay. It's using a library call instead of setting it from the stack. So instead of doing that, okay. And I will. Let me make sure this is right. This is where you can get in trouble with the Lua stack if you don't have this correct. So you make a new user data. Placement new. And then why am I pushing it a second time? I don't think I need to do that. I'm just setting its meta table, then set it as a global variable and pop it. I guess we don't want to pop it. Oh, right, we're gonna do this elsewhere. So so we basically return it off the stack. It's on the stack still. And then the main script host will call that and so load the libraries and I'm at a loss for words. Initialize types, right? Initialize wrapper types, what I want to call it. So components. I guess I need to include that, right? Components. Initialize. Let's call it something else. Link the class with the interpreter. So it would be link Lua, and then let's call this push Lua. Link Lua and push Lua. So it's impl Lua. And then we'll say make the components object available to Lua as a global. And that is components. Actually, it's more than that. It's impl. Oh, we don't have it available here. Okay, yeah, we would do this from game. Game has access to this. Right, so here, I guess we could do it here. And we're already in impl, so it's systems, no, components, dot link Lua with, okay, we need to get the Lua out of the script host, so I need a method for that. Get Lua. Did I have the same thing in the old project? Let me look. I might have. No. We'll just add it. Script host, this one. Okay. Which means I need to expose the fact that it is using Lua. So these will move to the header. Here. Because we want to say Lua state. That's correct, right? Yes. Get Lua. Return the pointer to the Lua interpreter of this host. The Lua interpreter of this host is returned. All right. After the constructor, yes, right after this. So that goes there. This should probably all be done within the constructor for the impl. That would make sense, wouldn't it? So this just returns impl Lua. Yeah, let me move this into a constructor of the impl here. And all these impls go away. Cool. And we should have a destructor too. I don't want to forget that. The destructor, let's just copy the destructor from here. Calls Lua close. Because we want to be nice and symmetrical, don't we? New state is balanced by closed. Okay. So we can default this again, which is nice. And game. This should work. I don't know why IntelliSense is struggling to keep up. Because I have an error somewhere. Oh. I had some copy-pasted code I forgot to clean up. Right, so this is what you do to when you like the getters for properties of a Lua object. So let's just comment these out for now. Yeah, and the else is that you can get the property from the meta table if it's not in the actual instance. So we'll just do that for now. I'll comment this out. I will have properties, just not yet. And the same. This is the setter stuff. So we'll do the same thing. Comment that out for now. So it will just set on the meta table. Cool. So it builds, and in the game, we want to both link. Link is not what I want, actually. I don't want link. I want it push. Right, and then after push, I need to do what the other code did. Set it as a global. And pop it. So, okay. Yeah, let's get that out. Const auto Lua equals that. So get the interpreter, push the components onto the stack, set global, which takes the top of the stack and gives it a name, so we'll call it components. And then if we run any script in Lua with that interpreter and we go to the components global, we have access back to our components. And then we're done setting it so we can pop it. I think set global does not pop, right? This is why I have manual, right? Lua. Lua set global. Oh, it does pop it, so I don't need to pop again. You saw I was stopping and restarting the GC when calling Lua open libs, but you never had to do that? Oh, I think I read that that's more efficient. Let me look it up. There was some kind of efficiency point for that. Why do I not have my... okay, here it is. I look for Lua GC stop in the context of open libs. There was some reason that was done. Maybe it was in the reference manual? I read it somewhere, I swear. I just don't remember where. Maybe it was... Was it get started? It might have been this programming in Lua. There's a free one, right? Where we don't have to buy it. Right. First edition of programming in Lua, I think, talked about it somewhere. I think it was in here. Maybe not. I am intent on finding it now. Wherever they say you using the libraries. Was it here? No. Oh, you know what? I might have copied it from Lua's source code itself. No. Yeah, their source code is kind of hard to read. Yeah, I didn't copy it from their source. I copied it from somewhere, though. There's the manual source code. I could have sworn it was here somewhere. Maybe it's here. I want to search for that in the entire book, but I don't know how to do that. Okay, maybe it wasn't in the book. Well, I'm not going to be able to find it, am I? Maybe it's this restart. Lua.c? Yeah, but they don't, you found a mention of it on Lua users. In the official Lua.c, they don't do that. Maybe that's where I found it. Looks familiar. Or is this someone just seeing someone else do it and wondering why? Okay, he explains why. This is not the original reference. Yeah, and there's no follow-up. This is copied from somewhere, and I know I copied from the same place. Weak typing and pointers is what makes C good. Pointers are amazing. Pointers are like superpowers, so you use them only for good. Yeah, it makes sense, but I kind of want to find where the original reference was. There was like an explanation and everything. Okay, this is the one you just found, right? Maybe it was here. They just say do it that way. I can't remember exactly, but what comes to my memory is I copied that from some example. Maybe it was one of these. Maybe I just copied it and looked at. Maybe I ran to this and not this one. This one and this explanation made sense to me. You're going to have a large number of objects that are not garbage when You are loading the standard library. It probably is a wash, right? I bet if we measured the performance of it, it's no big deal anyway. But it doesn't cost us much to include that. Maybe I should mention that in here. Temporarily disable the garbage collector as we load the libraries. To improve performance. That's okay. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but let me put a reference to this. Does he say it's for performance? To reduce overhead. Yeah, that makes sense. So there are. We'll include that. I should have done this originally. Then I would have been able to say, yeah, I got that from wherever. But I was too lazy before. All right. This builds, right? Let me make sure that things are destroyed properly. So here, did I have a diagnostics? I do not. Well, we can just print something. Eventually, the Lua interpreter will be destroyed in the solo components, but to make sure I don't have any circular reference issues, yeah, we can do it here. We can just do a quick and dirty check here. Components destroyed. Printf, right? And then do it, and then hit Control C. Uh-oh, it never did it. Actually, I wonder if that's because standard error is being redirected. But no. Let's put a actually, it's the impl. It's okay. This is not even the right place. That needs to be in the impl, which I don't even have a constructor for. Say quick and dirty. Created and destroyed. Good one. Tropical Banana Man. Okay, yeah, I think these are being suppressed. Is it the way I'm... That's just the input is being redirected to null. How come these aren't being printed? Do I have a debug? I do. I can run it and see. Let's just run the debugger. So run. Ah. It never actually created it. How is this working then? Wait. Oh, components is per game. Okay, so we have a Lua interpreter for each game. So I'm just being dumb. We don't need this. I just need to start a game. So start a game would be to connect. There we go. Components created, and it crashed. Debug. Let's find out why it crashed. Connect. crashes here. Oh, Lua is impl is empty. Oh yeah, we can't do a default constructor. We have to create the impl. Impl, which is this one is a unique pointer, I think. Yeah, so it's just new impl. I don't even know how to do my own pimple pattern correctly today. Okay, one more time. Connect. Okay, it was created. Disconnect. It was not destroyed. What if I control C though? Okay, components is not destroyed. Wonder if I have a circular reference problem. This should be called. Let's print out this. Script host destroyed. And created as well, why not? Connect. Disconnect. Okay, so the script host is destroyed, but the components are not destroyed. It's weird because when Lua is closed, it should have destroyed it, unless I did something wrong, which is entirely possible. Okay, yeah, this is just creating the meta table. Oh, I know what I did wrong. I don't have a garbage collector to actually delete it. Yeah. Okay, let me, where did I do that? Here? Yeah, and we need this GC thing. We need a finalizer. And we don't need a constructor. We're not making a new one, but we do need to finalize it. So that copies over to here. No. Here. Let's put it up front here. So we need to have a finalizer. And let's copy from this finalizer. Let's put it up front and prominent here. So the finalizer actually, it just recovers it the same way. Actually, no, it doesn't. It's slightly different. We don't dereference the pointer. Because we want to call in place the in place destructor of the shared pointer. There we go. Now let's see if it... Now the garbage collector will run when Lua is closed, and it should clean up the object. There we go. Script host, it's destroyed in the correct order even. Nice. So I can remove all those printfs. Which means I don't need to declare those at all. And then here as well. Alright. Okay, so the basic framework is there to from Lua script to get back to the components, and I'll need to hook up the properties to get to actual components. So maybe what I'll do is port the first system. I should give myself a sense of accomplishment by going into my Cholo. Oh, I forgot to do this. I did that yesterday. Let's archive it. I should say I'm doing this, and not only that, but oh, I should have put a checklist in here before. This checklist I should have copied from here. I want to give myself a sense of accomplishment by checking off this one. Yay, brought it into the back end. Now we're working on integrating the components. Actually doing these sort of at the same time. Okay, so game. Yay, I know. Is cool. All right. Pulling in the components, and here we will... How do I want to do the systems? I guess what I want... Actually, it's all going to be in Lua, right? I think we'll just pull in a file and parse it as Lua. Yeah. So... let's pull in a Lua file, parse it, and then expect that it defines a global called systems that we can call. So a callable object called systems. So read and parse systems. Lua systems. So the parsing, I guess I'll make that. So what's the quickest way to do that? I guess it would be fopen, fread. I'm thinking of copying it from somewhere else. Like the executor does this, right? It's got a read from file. Okay, yeah, I guess I can use my little helper class. Hey there, bug found. How's it going? I'm integrating Lua into my prototype game to replace the systems of the game with Lua. So read, okay, file. Read the entire contents of the gun file part. No, we're not parsing it. Read and return the contents of the file. Because we're going to just pass it to the Lua interpreter to execute it. So it's just going to be a string. Read file. The gift that keeps on giving? You mean Lua? I love Lua. Okay, so if we can't open it, let's just return an empty string. Otherwise, we make a buffer that's the size of the file we try to read. If we couldn't read, again, it's an empty string. Otherwise, I guess it's simple. We'll just return the buffer as a string. There we go. So, like this did, I need to actually make the file. This way. Okay. System abstractions file. It's a little utility I made. So this would be systems file. And we're going to assume it's in the same directory as the executable, named systems.lua. All right, and then we'll say const.o systems. Yeah, systems. Well, hold on. We already have something called systems. So system, we'll just call this Lua file and then Lua. Equals read file systems Lua file. if systems Lua, if it's not empty, then we will parse it. Oh, you have Lua systems in your engine? That's nice. Yeah, I've already done this in a previous hobby project, and it worked out really well. So that's why I'm now trying to use it in this ECS prototype. The last thing I did wasn't ECS, and I just want to make sure that this works. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, more copying code from the previous work that I did before I streamed. It wasn't in script component, it was in script host. I had like a helper to pull in a script. Where is it? It's wherever I do Lua P call. Oh, I want this one. This one's important. We want to trace back to get errors during parsing. So let's put that up here along with, where is it? Script host. Put it in script host along with the other helpers for Lua. There we go. And just taking that as is. Here it is, load script. So we have a name and a script. I think this is pretty much what I want. So I'm going to pull this in. This can be a method of components. Impl. Right? No. Script host. Right, so put it there, and we'll say, what does it return? It just returns the results as a string? Yeah, what is results? Oh, I think it's an error or something. Let me look at the comments I had. Load script. Right, okay. Let's maybe copy this too. If it's an empty string, there's no error. If there was this error, then it's returned. Okay, that's exactly what I want. So put it here. This method executes the given Lua script with the, well, actually, we're not going to do that. We're not going to allow attaching methods. Don't need that. So this is the name of the Lua script. This is the contents. There's an error. Yeah, that's exactly what I want. Load script. So impl Lua just becomes impl Lua without the underscore after it, right? And then I don't need to do this stuff about setting a global with the meta table. I do want the traceback on the stack. Then I make a reader, and I give the reader state reference to the script, the pointer to the string. Then we call Lua load, and here's a little magic here to tell Lua the name of the script. Thanks for the follow, Squiddy. And then here we're calling it, and I think this is number of arguments we're passing in, a number that we expect to be returned, and that is the stack position of the traceback. So instead of it being 2, I think it's 1, right? Because before I was pushing a meta table, right? Get global, yeah. This was on the stack because I wanted to restore it afterwards. Yeah, so we're not doing that. So the traceback is just at 1, and all this other stuff remains the same. Oh, I need that helper. String extensions. How long have I been working on this prototype? So this would be day 5. I worked for 3 days to make this game prototype, which you can I'll play it. I'll play it while I talk about it. How about that? So I made this prototype ECS game in about 3 days. And then I spent yesterday improving the UI. So this stuff off to the right wasn't here in the first 3 days. It was like all like crappy HTML printout of these numbers. And then I made a nice button here and score and all that stuff. And if I go and pick up that potion, it'll actually show up in that UI as well. You can see it there. So I did that yesterday, and then today will be day 5 working on this prototype. And I call it a prototype because it's a throwaway project that I'm using to test out some things for the real game I'm making, which is a multiplayer game that I'm still building up. So I'm still building the back end for that, and part of the back end is going to be the entity component system, and I want to make sure I design it correctly. So I'm making a much smaller game, which is this that you're seeing, single player, a lot of systems and stuff removed, so just bare bones that I could quickly get up and running in 3 or 4 days, and test out things, make sure that I know what I'm doing, and then basically redo or copy stuff from this prototype into the real thing when I'm ready. Yeah, I won. So the real game I've been working on, it's been a couple months now because I had to do a lot of work to make a nice fault-tolerant backend. I have a link to that if you want to learn more about it. I'm not using WebAssembly. This front end is in Pixie.js. It says React app. I'm really not using React very much. I'm just basically using Pixie.js for all the graphics. The JavaScript on the front end, and the back end has been C++ only, but now I'm moving to C++ with Lua. So yeah, that game link talks about kind of what I hope to make in the long run. And because it's a multiplayer game, I'm having to do making a fault-tolerant server cluster, which involved pulling in a log replication algorithm called Raft. So that took several weeks, and having it secure so that I can put this up on the cloud and not worry about it being hacked, that's taking a long time. But I'm hoping to get through that soon and then actually have the game elements, which is why I'm kind of getting ready for that by prototyping them out in this nice little self-contained playground, so to speak, that we're doing here. Yes, exactly. C++ Lua backend and then JS front end. And then between them, these lines here are all WebSockets. So I have that in the prototype already. If I were to show you the debug screen here and click on network and reload, is it still running? Yeah. And then okay, I need to get the connect button. Now if I click on this and show frames, these are all the messages coming between the front end and back end. You can see whenever I change a movement key, I'm sending a message over the WebSocket. And whenever the sprites update, it's sending me another message. So if I were to exit, now the message is slowed down because really there's not much happening. So the content of every WebSocket message is a JSON string, which is really nice and convenient debugging with the Chrome DevTools. You can click on any message and kind of see the object broken down like that. It's pretty nice. So I'm going to do this for the real game, even though it might not be the best performance because there's a lot of string parsing for this JSON, but it'll really help in debugging, and then I can optimize it later by making a serialized binary format for these messages for the real game. Probably for this prototype, I'll keep it as JSON because it runs plenty fast. It could run way faster than 60 FPS. I was running performance measurements yesterday, and it was only using like 3 or 4 milliseconds per frame. So it's pretty good. Way better than 60 FPS. And that's with all the JSON parsing and everything. So yeah. Yeah, they are great for debugging. I'm also using JSON for storing do I have a copy of that? The state on the back end is also serialized as JSON. I don't know if I actually still have a copy around, but let me check. When I run it, okay, no, I don't. I'll have to show that some other time, but the way that these servers coordinate on state is through a series of commands, and the commands are JSON again. Commands being things like create a player account, log in a player, move a player from one position to another in the game. All that is serialized as JSON commands. that are exchanged between these servers. So it's pretty cool. There's an option for protocol buffers? Could be. I'm using WebSockets, which makes it really simple because each message here is just a string, and the WebSocket protocol transports that string from one end to the other. So it's JSON stringify, send a text message, and on the other end, I receive a text message, JSON parse, and I'm done. I don't have to worry about buffering so much. But yeah, for performance, sure. I might have to look into something more sophisticated, like you're saying, with the protocol buffers. Binary is much faster than JSON. And for example, on the real game, I'm allowing the administrator to upload new code files for the backend, and those are several megabytes. I was sending that as a text message in JSON. It was really slow. Then I changed it to just a binary where there's no parsing. It was super fast. So definitely binary is the way to go for large messages. These are all small messages though, right? These are all only a couple hundred bytes. I think the largest message the prototype is sending is the very first one, which has all the walls and floors and everything, and that's 15K. But still, we're I think when I looked at it in the performance, it's still doing it in like only a frame or two. So we are good for now with not worrying about optimization. Never looked at having JavaScript parse binary. Yeah, JavaScript works with binary pretty well. There was a couple things I had to learn about array buffers, and there's like limitations on how many bytes at a time you can move between a string and a binary. But yeah, after we figured that out, it was it went pretty well. Why is that still complaining about sprintf? I don't know. It's not complaining now. I just hit build. Yeah, so let me show that. For example, the stuff I had to do to handle binary in JavaScript was in this admin console. I have a utilities. So three different formats that I want to deal with were raw strings, binary strings, and hex strings. So I guess I'm using this buffer library. The buffer JavaScript library has a nice convenient way to convert to a hex string. It's just 2-string hex. And then going from raw bytes to a string, you have to break it up because there's a limitation to how many arguments you can pass to the from char code. When you apply an array, there's a max size of 64K roughly. So yeah, I had to break it up into chunks, which we call chungus. Convert them and then concatenate them there and then return it. And then the other way is a lot easier. Raw string to a byte is just I guess we just looped and assigned it into the array. I wonder if I just didn't optimize that because I didn't care. This is a very naive implementation. But yeah, I had to do these little utilities to convert between those three formats in JS, basically. I haven't used Google Protocol buffers before, but it was mentioned on stream before. It is something I would definitely look into if I needed more efficient data exchange, but right now, JSON or binary strings are working out for me pretty well. Yeah, we'll see later when I actually have a real game with a lot of data. So the stuff I'm doing with, the naive implementation with JSON and binary over WebSocket, maybe it breaks down and I have to look at stuff like protocol buffers. We'll see. I want to not prematurely optimize the system. That's like a rule that I'm trying to follow. So wait until I see a performance issue, measure, find the bottleneck, and then address it there. So if the bottleneck is in the messages between front end and back end, sure, I'd look into protocol buffers. I would look into more efficient serialization, that kind of thing. But not until there's a problem. All right, so I think this one's good to go, right? Oh, except for I'm removing this is no longer done. Actually, yeah, we can just do that, right? Or no, I have to pop. I still have to. I have to pop off everything because I pushed the traceback function. I can't remember. Yeah, this is always safe to do. Basically, you clear the Lua stack when you're done and when you're beginning is a nice thing to do. All right, so I should be able to call that from game right now, right? So script host dot load script systems Lua, and then we'll get back errors. Error message, right? Really makes it really easy. Yeah. Yeah, I sort of remember that. There's a tool that you run that creates the code for you, a code generator. Yeah, I'd probably use that if I had to make a packed, efficient binary format for this. I'm definitely keeping that stuff in mind in case I ever need it. Okay, what do I need? Oh, it probably needs Lua, right? No, it needs a name. Systems. If I could spell it correctly. And yeah, let's break that up. This is where I sort of unintentionally but I'm sort of inflating my code lines of code count, right? This is counting now as 4 lines instead of 1, just because I didn't like it to be so long. All right, if not error message dot empty, what are we gonna do? We're gonna do a diagnostic message. Send a string. Level, let's call it a warning. Should I call it a warning or an error? Warning's probably good enough. And it will be error loading systems. And then we, if I make that into a string, I can use the plus to concatenate. Oh, there we go. So now every time I start a game, it'll try to load systems.lua and execute it. So we don't have a systems.lua right now. So I should expect to see an error about the, actually it's going to end up being an empty string, right? Oh, and I wanted to make that a special case. Let's make a special error message for that. So error loading, let's say unable to load. Unable to load systems.lua. And I don't need to make a C++ string. That's what I expect to see now. As soon as I start a game. Okay, we don't need that right now. How come I'm not seeing it? I expected to see an error. I don't have a systems.lua file, so did I not? I did build it. Interesting. Hey there, Rally Monkey. Your ISP went out. Okay, see ya. Good luck with your ISP. That sucks. Actually, I need to use the restroom. I will be back in like just a minute. Be right back. I am back. Almost out of my kombucha. Only got a few sips left. Oh, yeah, okay. I don't understand why I'm not seeing this, because it should be empty. So let's print out here. Loaded. Let's make this a formatted string. I can say %zu bytes. Systems lua dot size. It's a string, right? Length. It is constructing this, so should see it. Unless the diagnostics aren't connected. That might be a problem. I think it's running it before I'm connecting the diagnostics together to it. Yeah, so maybe I don't want to do all this in the constructor. Yeah, let's move this out. Let us move this out. So we'll call this load systems. And then I can call it after I hook up the diagnostics to it. Hey there, Shake Soda. You've been optimizing relentlessly so far this year to try getting things running on lower powered hardware. New hardware is also on battery. So even when it runs fast enough, going faster is valuable. Yeah, you want to maximize the amount of sleep time, right? And especially if a lot of those lower powered like microcontrollers and small processors, they have extra features to go ultra low power when you're done processing, right? I remember working on that kind of stuff. That's sort of a challenge, right? Lower powered hardware needs longer to do its work, but you really want it to do its work quickly and then go to sleep. Okay, yes, so start is probably the best place because here's where we subscribe. So actually this makes sense. We initialize the systems here. So here's a good place to actually load the systems. Actually, you know what? This ought to go into that load systems. Let's call this legacy. Load the legacy C++ systems. All right. Now I should see that error, right? And remove it. Remove impl, yes. Thermals are the main problem. Yeah, it heats up, you mean? Put a heatsink on it. Says the naive software guy. All right, did I get my error messages? Yes, unable to load systems.lua. Okay, good. So let's make a systems.lua. And actually, I need to have a script to copy it. Yes, so let us, in addition to copying the executable, we'll also copy from the root. We should have systems.lua. So let's make a systems.lua in this directory. New file, systems.lua. And what do we want to do? Let's do something bad. How about return, how about just a whole bunch of garbage? There we go. That should create a Lua error. Right? And let's see. Yeah, this will do for now. So Control C and then do it again. I wonder why sometimes it, oh, yeah, because I must have hit up arrow a few times. Okay, there we go. Doing it. Unable to load still. Maybe didn't copy it. There's a state. Where did I put the stage? You're not going all the way to microcontrollers, but you're moving something from requiring a relatively fast PC to mobile SoC. Okay, so But it's still some of the same concerns, right? Try to have it not 100% duty cycle, but lower that, and then that'll also save power, which will, I mean, that'll save power, which will also reduce the heat generation. Stage is, yeah, oh, it's build stage. Okay, it's not copying it. Did I mistype this? Root is where that script is. Oh, where did it go? Did I not save it? Did it put it in the wrong place? Oh, it put it in the wrong place. Move that to there. There we go. Now do it. Now play the game. There we go. Syntax error. So the syntax errors are getting through, which is nice. So now I can actually put code in that isn't a syntax error. So I've completely forgotten Lua. Let me look at some references, some reference code here. Not there. Older project. And yes. Do I have scripts here? I don't remember. No, not in this folder. I put them nearby. Assets, I think. It's under here, but can't remember where I put them. Oh, wait a minute. It was under worlds there. Worlds. Here we go. Here's my Lua stuff. So, like, here's opening a door in the other prototype game I made a long time ago. So it's, okay, function. So let's just make a function called systems. Actually, let's have a convention. Let's have a make systems. And it is given, actually, if I pass parameters, then I don't need to have a global. Right? If we have a function called make systems and another one called mirrored after this one here, update systems. And then we have it pass in the components and a tick. So components tick. Now it will compile, right? You got your, oh, there was a folder that said Lua there, yeah. I found it. You got your frame times down to 2.5 milliseconds on high and 12.5 on low, which is still blowing the budget since you need to push more pixels, but it's getting there. Yeah, good job. That's more than 60 FPS. Barely. Fun stuff that I used to do. Loaded Lua systems. There we go. Oh, I should actually print that somewhere else, right? I should only do it when we actually succeed. Let's do it here. Loaded systems. Am I making it data oriented? I sort of made a crude attempt. So my attempt was to have a map of component types, and then for every component type, there are functions you call that I generate with a template, which is down here somewhere. Down here. And, no, here's the template. And so when we make a component type, we actually make a vector of that component. So this is not optimal, but it's sort of a step towards, you kind of want your systems to be looping through your components, And if you arrange them in memory as an array of simple data structures, then you can be a little bit more friendly to your cache. And it's data oriented because the components are all just data structures. If you look at any of my components, they're just structs, right? And we just have arrays of every type of component, and there's no logic. So that's the data-oriented part of it. Yeah, the maps are going to be a bottleneck. I was researching different ideas on how to structure the components, and really, it gets really complicated. So I'm keeping it simple now in the prototype. Right now, for the simple, dinky little prototype, it's not a big deal. But I can imagine for a massive game that having this map of types, if there are a lot of types, then yeah, especially when we are in a lot of the systems, they have to not just loop through one kind of component, but they have to get another component. Like for example, the hunger system. We're looping through all the heroes, right? But for every hero, we need to get both the health and the position component, because the hero only loses health from hunger if they're still on the map, and only if they have health to begin with, right? So just the get entity component of type is going to another vector, right? If we were all just looping through one vector, we'd be nice to the cache, but this is now going to miss the cache by going to another vector. And not only going to another vector, but picking out one thing from it, not looping through the entire thing. So yeah, ideas like what you guys are saying, sparse sets, or another idea would be if we know heroes' health and position are always going to be accessed, we could have a super vector with the hero followed by its health, followed by its position, followed by the next hero, and so that we'd be sequentially accessing memory and we'd be back to being more cache friendly, right? Yeah. So I haven't gotten that sophisticated yet. Hopefully I want to get there if I need to, right? It all depends on if the game performs well enough, or the machine I run it on, right? Could always throw a more expensive machine on it, and then you know, waste energy with heat. We'll see. I want to wait. I want to see what the performance is, and then how much optimization I need to do for performance. Okay, so I think the idea is we will expect the systems Lua to make these two functions, and then we will just call them. So game, after we read and parse, we will, let's actually load them down here. Load the systems, both legacy as well as Lua. So this is the legacy ones, and the Lua ones will be going through the script host, and it will be a execute or a call. And we'll need to say we're calling make systems with no arguments. So here again, I'm going to copy from my old work where I had a execute script, right? That assumed no arguments, I think. So we'll have to adjust it. Yeah, see, this is assuming 0 arguments. That's fine. So we'll copy what I have and modify it. And this is also doing a load. Really, I just want to do the p call. And look, instead of push C function, we'll be getting a global. Yeah, okay. So this is a bit different. Load, okay. This method actually, I could make the script just a global block, right? Let me think about this. No, I think I want to have it say this method calls the given Lua global as a function. So it's really just a wrapper for the P call. Lua function name. This is the name of the Lua global function to call. And we'll have another one for arguments. In the middle of filing a bug on your renderer, you discover a bug doesn't exist and was a setup error. Hey, that's a good thing, right? Close the bug. Ship it. And this will be number of arguments. This is the number of arguments that have been pushed onto the Lua stack to be given to the function. And I guess we will return an error. If there was an error generated by calling the function, description of the error is returned. Otherwise, any values left in the Lua stack are converted into string. Do we want that? I don't think so. Otherwise, an empty string is returned, indicating success. I just glanced up and saw it was there. Could have just copy pasted it. So this will be call, and this will be Lua. This will be Lua function name, and then size t number of arguments. I like size t. I like to use it whenever there's some size or length variable. A lot of other people just use int. I think Lua wants me to convert it to an int anyway, but it's okay. We can do a typecast. Alright, so it's after load script, so we can collapse that for now. Script host. So we will pull from the old code, ruthlessly copying it and pasting it. And I don't need to load this time. So I don't need a reader, I don't need a load, I don't need any of this. We want a traceback still. Right. So this is what we want. We don't need the rest of this. Although we will set the top and return. Really, it's not results anymore. Did this call it results? It did. Let's rename this. This is error message. And this is also error message. Okay. This gets replaced with that. You're partial to unsigned uint32s unless you know something needs to be pointer sized. Yeah, matter of style. I'm partial to using a ambiguous sized variable type unless the size is actually important. In which case I'll there are the new types I like to use, like int max t, right? Maximum sized integer on that platform, which in this case would be a long. Sometimes I'll use uint64t if I know I want it to be 64 bits, but yeah. If it's in like a protocol buffer and you know you want it to be like 16 bits, yeah, I'll use the sized integers. Otherwise, I just tend to use size t or int or unsigned int. And I'm not actually using unsigned int as much these days because of the underflow issue, right? What happens when you have an unsigned int that's 0 and you decrement it? Who knows? It's some very large number. Okay, yeah, I've gotten into trouble. Let's just say that. Underflowing unsigned integers. Okay, we need a error message up here. So we're pushing the traceback function, and then we don't need to do this insert because it is the first thing, right? Oh, wait a minute. No, I need to push. Right, no, I don't need to insert. I can push, and then I can push global, right? Is it get global? Get global. Wonder what the int is that it returns. So it'll be Lua function name. .c string, right? Then p call it with number of arguments here, and I don't care about the return value. And index 1 is where we put the traceback. I do need to remove it? No, I don't need to, right? Let me think about this. I don't need to do that because we're going to end up just setting the top anyway. Don't I just want to do the same thing as I do this p call here? Not this. This is when I wanted to actually get the results and stringify them. Yeah, let's p call result. Yeah, let's copy this and modify it. Number of arguments 0, 1. We get an error message. Right there. Actually, that's all I need, right? Yeah. And then so it's actually pretty simple. Set the traceback function, look up the global function we're going to call it. Oh, wait a minute. I do need the insert because I think I need to insert both of these because you first push the function, then the arguments, right? I need to look this up. This would be in here if I look up p call. Same meaning as call. To call a function, first the function's pushed, then the arguments are pushed. First argument first, then you call. Okay, so yeah, I do need the inserts because I want to put them below the arguments. So that is insert this one. So we push that into the stack and then we move it to position 1. Then we get that global and we move that to position 2. Right? And that pushes the arguments to the function up. We call it. Actually, do I even need to pass number of arguments, or can I just call the get top to get that? I think I can just call get top, right? That would be number of arguments. So I don't need to pass that? Yeah, I think so. Trying to remember from when I played with Lua last time. So let's say that here. This method calls the given Lua global as a function, passing any arguments that are pushed, that have been pushed, passing as arguments anything that was pushed onto the stack beforehand. Yeah, and then we can get rid of this one. Okay. I don't even think we need to do that. We could just do pop to pop off the traceback, but that's probably safer, right? So let's try this. K. From the game. So there's no arg. So yeah, we'll just do that. Let's see. Oh, I need to actually get the error back, right? So const auto error message. Can I just copy this? Yeah, I can. Copy that. Make systems successful. This shouldn't be a warning. let's just make it a level 3. Error making systems. Systems made successfully. Error making systems, error message. Okay, let's try this out. Disconnect, start over again, connect. Systems made successfully. So here's the cool thing. I can, as long as I have a script to do this, I can update the scripts live, right? Because every time I start a new game, it will reload the systems. So let's make a copy of do it called w update. And w update will just copy the systems only and not run the backend, which means I don't need the build directory. Okay, so I can update the systems Lua right now and do something funny in here to cause an error. Actually, that won't even compile, right? Let's see what happens. So another shell here, w update. Then go back here, start a new game. Did that update work? There's not 80 bytes anymore. Stage. It didn't work. Did I not save that? Save. I don't think it's updating it. Update. Let's turn off this. Maybe I'm getting an error. Okay, I don't need to see that null thing. Oh, look, that's wrong. I do need the build system because stage is based off of build. Okay, I just being dumb. So what is it putting it under slash? Look at that. Okay, so delete, remove directory. Okay, fixed. We need a build directory because that stage is based off of the build. Do it. Oh, no, not do it. Update. Okay, cool. So I can put that back to ignoring the output and then turning off the echo for all those commands. There. And we can run a new game and see that it is... Okay, two things. It couldn't load the systems, and then we couldn't call the... because this function wasn't defined. So I can't make a compiler error. I need to actually do a runtime error. What would a runtime error in Lua look like? Using a variable that doesn't exist, maybe? Let me look at another... Right, so it's like if foobar equals pogchamp, then do something, right? Why did it want to outdent that? Anyway, so update, connect. Huh. It didn't result in an error? Oh, I guess it just assumes it's a global, right? So I don't remember enough Lua to know how to make a runtime error. Wasn't there something like you could throw an error? I guess if we did that, so if I did foo.bar, right? That should make it a runtime error. Error or assert? Okay, I can try that too. So update. Oh, there we go. Attempt to index a nil value global foo. So it got into the correct function, and we even get a nice trace back, which is nice. So let me try the what you guys are saying. Also, we can say error. Ooh. Then start. There we go. Foo. In function error. In function make systems. All right. Okay, so we can make systems now. Now let's do update systems. So make systems. I guess what we'll do is we'll have a table here, right? Systems equals looking at my old code to find or I might have used an array. Nope. This is what happens when you don't see. Last time I touched this Lua was like 8 months ago. Not that one. Actually, there's let me think about this. Was it force field? No. Something that had a list in it. I can't remember. Here's an example where I actually added to the that's how you add to the end of a list. And then you can do I pairs. Okay, maybe I want to keep that around. I'm gonna look at an even older project. So, but I had made my own Minecraft thing, which had its own scripts in it. And I remember that, what was it? One of these had, I don't know, a list in it. What was that? I can't remember. Was it grow wool? Ah, here we go. So here's an example of a table. Okay, so I can just list them. So list would be, what's the first system I want to port? Something simple. Not the generator, that's complicated. Pickup system? No. Firing system? No. What is this in? Why was this in here? Oh, for potions, right. That was pretty complicated. All my systems are kind of complicated, aren't they? Maybe the hunger system. Hunger system's not too bad. So that would be hunger. Function hunger components tick end. The idea is I want to just loop through all of the systems and call them. So right, this I pairs will do. System components tick. So I really don't need to do anything in make systems right now. But I could. These are just entry points in case I need them. Actually, I don't just executing this in the first place should just do everything. I don't even need make systems. Let's just call this update. And then from the game, I don't actually need to load them, do I? Loading them are already doing here. Yeah, so let's just move this back to where it was before. Load the legacy C++ systems. And then this we'll just do in the update loop. Here it is. So this is the so update legacy C++ systems. Update new Lua systems. We'll be just calling update. Systems updated. I don't know why I had that formatted. That should just be that. Error updating systems. We're going to see that 10 times a second. So I'll probably get rid of that after I see it working once. Oh, wait a minute. We can't just call update. Update expects some arguments, right? The components in the tick. So that would be script host dot. No. It was components, right? Dot push Lua. Okay, I need the Lua state. So const auto Lua equals script host dot get Lua. So push the components onto the stack and then push the number, the tick number. Tick is just a number. So it would be Lua push number. Lua, and then we'll cast to Lua number the tick. There we go. Call update. It'll pass those arguments in that order. Cool. I wonder if I should put some feedback in there, because that's not that hard to do. Yeah, with this meta table, right? I can add a method. Where is that done? Okay, it's not there. Script component. Okay, this doesn't actually have methods, really. Something nearby that has a method. How about decomposer? Did I really do it from the indexer? Oh yeah, I guess I am. So the object itself has the methods attached rather than going through the classes meta table. Is that how we want to do it? I kind of want to go through the meta table. Looking for an example of that. That's not it at all. Bitstream, maybe? No, all of these are doing it that way. Ah, here's what I did. Okay, yeah, so doing the same thing. So it's the same as these meta methods, only it's not a meta method. So it'll be we'll just make a diagnostic message. This is going through components, though. It's sort of a backdoor way. I think it's big. Okay, I didn't think about this before, but the systems here don't actually have a way to post diagnostic messages. They're only given the components and the tick. If I want to like print things out, I need like a callback function. Maybe as a third argument? Yeah, let's do it that way. So, in addition to components and tick, we'll have diag. And what we'll expect is we can call diag with a diagnostic message with the level and the message. Hunger. And diag here. Yes, so instead of doing this, when we actually are invoking it, we'll push another thing. It will be the push C function. Thanks for the follow, Mario. Okay, so the function I want will be, I guess, do we attach it to script host, or do we just actually we can give it our own function, right? Yeah. So it's just impl diagnostic message from systems. So I just need to make that as a function here somewheres. And put it anywhere, right? Yeah. It has to just have the same prototype as all of these. Static int the name and then Lua state. Right, so I need to look at some of those old functions that took parameters. Right, it was things like these. Check integer, check, oh, I should be using integer, not number. For this Lua push integer. That takes a Lua integer, not, I think a number is a floating, is a real number, right? A floating point. Anyway, we can do this check stuff to make sure that the arguments are what we expect them to be. Right, so I can do a check string on one argument. It's just a function, it's not a method, so this would be the second one, and the first one would be the number, or integer, right? So const auto level equals size t, interpret as size t, check integer 1. Actually, let's make that an int. And then, or actually I can do it this way. I can do size t max 0, oops. So it reduces it to 0 if it's negative, as long as I use algorithm. Hey there, multiple pixels. I'm importing the systems in my prototype game from C++ to Lua right now. So I'm just hooking up right now the Lua scripts, which are going to look like this. They're going to be passed a diag function, and a diagnostic level and then a string, and that's what this is the C++ end of that. Is this because this is not a Lua integer? What if I just do this? Yeah, then it's okay. Then it's no less than 0, so I can port it to size t, and then we call Diagnostic Center. Send. Oh, it's static. Okay. That's a problem. That's a problem, right? Maybe I'll just cheat for now. I'll put this into the components, even though it doesn't really belong there. So I'll put it here. Because we have the self thing that we can get, and then this becomes 2 and 3. Algorithm. And while we're at it, we also want... Oh, shoot. I need a bunch of things, don't I? This needs to be given the diagnostic messages. Okay. Not a big deal. We can just have it given a delegate when we construct it. So, actually, where do we construct it? Construct it there. Okay, not a delegate, a sender is what we want. Right. Well, yeah. Sorry, I'm thinking a bunch of things in my head and not explaining them. If I just require this to be given by reference, that'll work, right? Let's keep it clean. So don't do it in the constructor. Instead, we will say set the diagnostic sender. Pointer. Bug you thought didn't exist now seems to exist once more. I hate that kind of bug. I call it a gremlin. Gremlin is back. All right, so this is something in components, and we're really just going to have a pointer to one. Because, yeah, well, actually we ought to share it, right? Yeah. Okay, it's shared. All right, and then that goes into our impl. And that is set where it just was. And then in game, we'll make this shared. And then here I do a make shared of this. like that, and then I can finally call components.set and then Diagnostic Center. Hold on, the dog's whining for some reason. I think maybe she needs to go out. I'll be right back. And it's actually raining outside. Oh, I'm dropping frames. Dropped a few frames there. Oh, and my camera is messing up because it's raining and dark. Let's fix that. There we go. It's darker today because it's raining, and the dog wanted company while doing her business outside, so sorry about that. Alright, so we have access to a diagnostics. I can use that now. Oh, all of these places need to have an arrow now. Okay. Right, so we have a diagnostic center. We can use that in the function I made. Where'd I put it? Here. So, self diagnostic center, send string level, and then we should prefix it. So we can say standard string systems plus, it's not field name, it's message, plus message. There. Did I hook it up? I don't think I did. I did not. Let's hook it up. So hooking it up is doing one of these. So it's this goes here and here. Actually, I wanted to name that just diag, right? Let's capitalize it. Let's actually call it Diagnostic Message. So this would be, instead of diag now, it is components dot diagnostic message. Or is it the dot, or is it, it's colon, isn't it? I think it is, it's colon. That is a syntactic sugar for calling it as a method, so that becomes the first argument. Alright, so I should see hunger now when we run, right? Did I make it work? It's getting there. I have some compiler errors. But yeah, this should get feedback from the Lua. As soon as I fix my compiler errors. Oh, what happened there? Oops. That was a search replace problem. More errors. I don't know why it doesn't like the shared from weak. It's not a member of... Oh, no, it's not. Right, we're not pushing that anymore. Yes. Shake Soda knows Lua better than I do. It's been many months. It's been since May of last year I last touched Lua. Okay, let's try it out. So here I need to actually restart everything. And connect. Oh, look at that. It's working. Hunger! So we have feedback all the way from Lua back to C++ through that method of components. I don't like that I had to attach it to the components system, though. Okay, let me remove the updated successfully part, since that's just annoying. You're a Lua expert, then. You could be you might be in that club of people that I know that have been trying to get me to use Lua for years, and finally I caved. There we go. And it should be every tick, so every 1/10 of a second. It's pretty rough, though. It's not actually measuring precisely 100 milliseconds. It's just sleeping for 100 milliseconds, then waking up and doing its thing. So it's 100 milliseconds plus however long it takes to actually do the tick, which is looks like it's about 9 to 10 milliseconds on the back end. It's actually kind of slow. I wonder if that's because we're printing to the console. Alright, so it's working. I can remove that diagnostic message, and then we can actually try to do the hunger stuff. So what does hunger need? Hunger needs to loop through heroes, right? What I would really like to have is something that has the iterator protocol, so to speak. So I would like to say something like, not iPairs. I did this in one of these other things. Did I do it here? No, this is really old. I don't think I did the iterator stuff back then. This does have a lot of stuff in it, though, that I might want to keep that around. What about this one? Ah, yeah. So I want to do that kind of thing. For blank in blank do. Because I think that looks elegant. I want to say for hero in components dot heroes do. So let's do this a piece at a time. What will we expect to get from a hero? We will expect to get score and potions. So we'll just print the score. So components arrow diagnostic message 3. Our hero has scored hero.score points. Sound good? So this is going to require that I have heroes and that it supports this iterator pattern and gives me back a hero object, and the hero object has to have a score. So that's a couple different things, right? Yeah, I don't want to. I like this. I think this is more elegant than doing pairs, and we can do that. I did that for this other script here. I'll see how I did that. That was in. Hold on. Script. It's actually a totally different project. So it's from here. It was server script world NPCs. Right, so I had an object that supported the call method, and the call did an iterator that looked like this. You had to have 3 arguments. The collection itself, and we didn't use argument 2. I think the argument 2 was like something that's passed every time you every loop, and then 3 is the current position. So if it's nil, we start at the beginning. Otherwise, we find that in the collection, and then we advance 1. If we get to the end, we push nil. Otherwise, we push the thing from the collection. So this is exactly what I want. So I'm gonna make one of these, so we can both get it by index, get it a length, and also the call is the iterator protocol. Just making sure that the door was closed. People just went through the front door, and sometimes they leave the door open. All right, so components will have, okay, let's break this off. So components. And then this is, what are we going to call it? Heroes. Meta table, heroes. So this is impl, and we'll call it heroes index length and iterate. Okay, yes, so we also have to return a heroes from the indexer. That means I have to start doing this. If they ask for heroes, we have to push the thing that represents the collection. I had a tricky thing I did, if I remember correctly, in this indexer. Right, we would make a new user data which actually has the host, the server, whatever. Only we use a different meta table so that it would go to those other methods. So same kind of thing here. It would, okay, we're gonna rename this to heroes. And this becomes just another one of these impulse. Size of that. And then it is equal to self, right? Because self is the shared pointer. We're storing it in there. Okay, how come it doesn't like? It's old. And then this, the meta table is heroes. Right, so then heroes, so we need a heroes indexer. It looks like these indexers. So I'm going to copy these. Totally copying work I did before. The syntax is nice, but it seems like a bad practice. Lua doesn't usually work that way, so it looks like a typo. I thought there was one instance where it might be something in my own design, but I thought there was an instance where I saw someone else do that. Yeah, I guess I just don't like the pairs pattern. And this one reads more naturally to say for hero in heroes do. So that appealed to me greatly. And yeah, that's why I'm doing it. I mean, it works. It looks a little gross on the C++ end. That's what we're gonna fill in now. So I need to put that somewhere here. I guess we'll put it after these ones, right? Okay, so this needs to be fixed. So we're removing that class reference, and this is replaced with heroes. And I need to put static in front of these. And we're pulling off basically the same thing, but with a different meta table. So we're expecting it to be a heroes, right? And then this would be hero index, I guess. And we're expecting a number for the indexer. So that would be a, where did I have that? Get integer. Check integer. Here it is. Here it is. Right. Hero index. Expect an integer for the second argument. And yes, if it's one based, right, in Lua. So if it's 0, it's nil. Otherwise, or if it's 0 or if it's greater than the length. Greater than what did I put this in? Component. Actually, we're gonna have to call the getter. It's always been a bit of a low-key annoyance that they removed that syntax after Lua 5.0. What did they remove? Not sure what you mean. What did they remove after Lua 5? I started learning Lua on 5.2, I think. For foo in bar do was normal, so it was normal and they removed it? Huh. I think it reads better. Okay, let's see. Right, I need to get access like this. So, heroes info. Oh, thanks for the follow, Shake Soda. And we have to go through self to get to that. So we get the hero. So if hero, this should be, wait a minute, why is it not like this? It should. Is this just, wait a minute. Oh, it's on the external. Okay. Okay, so we just do this. We already have impl. So it's self components of type hero list. Right, and then we see, is it greater than n? Jerpies, heroes, n. Then push nil. Otherwise, we're just going to get it out, right? So it's just we're going to push a new entity here. I have to make a new entity here. I guess this is the only, no, we're pushing it from 2 different places, so I need a helper. So push hero. And then heroes dot first index hero index -1. All right. And that will return 1. So I need push hero. Lua state Lua and size, no, it's not size t, it's hero, make it a const? No, because I'm going to turn it into a pointer. Yes, I'm going to turn it into a pointer. Oh, this has to be, this is heroes info. I need to do the casting like I did in the other place. This kind of, no, not that kind of casting. Actually, this is the kind of casting I want. Auto hero equals hero, heroes info, and then that weird indexing. So push hero. So that's, this is I. Gobbledygook, and we're good, right? And I couldn't do these other ones right now. So I need to do the same thing, don't I? I need to get that. And then push heroes info .n. And last but not least is the iterate. And again, I need to get the hidden info. Need to get the info. Let's check NA3. And it will be an index or not, right? Size T. Actually, no, it'll be a hero. Specifically, it will be a What will it be? Actually, this is what it is in the other place. It'll be a U data. So ultimately, it'll end up being an index. Hero index. If it's nil, hero index is 0, right? Or should I be consistent with this and make it 1? I think I will keep it consistent. So then this is 1. Let me think about this. Yeah, I need to make a wrapper. So it'll be hero, script hero. Why a raw pointer? Why did I do it that way? I guess it's just, yeah. Oh, right. Because we can't share it. It's ephemeral, this pointer. It changes if you resize the components. So, yeah. Okay. Hero. Last hero. So I guess what we'll do is we'll store the index in here. I think that's what, okay, I used to store it by name, so we'll store it in index instead. So we don't need to do an iterator. Actually, we don't even need to do a find. We can just say, yeah. Hero index is last hero index plus 1, right? Then if it is greater than heroes info.n, push nil. Otherwise, push hero. Lua, and then the hero we recover again, this same way. Heroes info, hero index -1, hero. Alright, so we just need a push hero, which I have declared, but I haven't implemented yet. And I need to make the hero meta table as well, right? Because, well, actually I don't need to yet. I can make it empty. It's for the scripts to have access to the hero. No, we did need that because it's going to go and get the score. So I need to make the meta table for hero. I probably did the same thing over here, right? Where I make the meta tables. Huh, I guess I don't do it here. Where does this work? Script NPC. Push NPC. Ah, it was in a different file called NPC. Yeah. Where's the table initialized? The meta table. Huh. I guess I didn't put it in this file. Well, thanks for the follow. Chandramukhi. That sounds familiar. Have you been here before? Oh, see ya, Shake Soda. Actually, you left about 8 minutes ago. Sorry. I didn't see the message. Okay, where? Maybe I put it here. Nope. Now I'm just kind of grasping. Where would I have put it? I'm surprised I didn't put it in this. Oh, here it is. So yeah, let's copy from this. this much of it. Hero. We need a hero. First time, huh? It must have been a different Chandra. Okay, it's hero, meta table. So this will be also handled here, I suppose. Hero, finalizer, index, new index to string. Do I want a comparator? Maybe. Let's leave off the comparator for now. And maybe the toString also. Just keep it simple. Leave off the new index as well, so it's just an indexer and a finalizer, which I will copy ruthlessly from here. And there's the push. So here are the three things I need. I don't need all that crap, actually. I'm gonna end up copying it and then deleting it anyway. Okay, let's put it underneath heroes iterate, so it'll go here. I'll probably want to break this up into multiple files soon, because there's going to be an iterator and a object for every kind of component. I have 11 kinds of components. I'm working on this game by myself, but right now this is just a prototype game. So I'll show you what it looks like. This is a prototype I did in about 5 days. It's modeled after the game Gauntlet, which is an Atari game from the mid-'80s. And really it was just a simple mock-up. Hold on a sec, I need to cough. This is a simple mock-up to test out some of my knowledge on how to make an entity component system. So the entities are like your hero and those ghosts. The potion I can go pick up. The food over here I can pick up. And the entities are broken up into various components, and systems operate on those components. So today I'm working on this prototype. Taking it a little further, I'm moving the systems from C++ into Lua. Excuse me. So yeah, the components I have in this game are here. Collider, generator, health, hero, input, monster, pickup, position, reward, tile, and weapon. Actually, did I ever use reward? Oh, right. Reward is attached to some things to add score. I guess that would just treasure has an attached reward. Anyway, those are the components, and you can see the components there are pure data structures. So today, a lot of what I'm doing is I'm going to be making a Lua wrapper for each of these C structures, so that they, when I move the systems to Lua, we can access them like so. We can iterate through the heroes, and we can get individual components. Like the hero component has a score there, right? And get it from Lua that way. We have to make just our Lua wrapper for it, which is what I'm doing now. So those are the components, and the systems are the AI, the generation. So that's creating monsters from those bones. The hunger system, picking up, firing weapons, moving the player, rendering the stage, and then the weapon system, which is the spinning axe that you can throw. I can throw spinning axes using the weapon system. Yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. And if you're a game developer, cool, you can tell me what I'm doing wrong. Definitely. I'm always open to receiving feedback. You're a big fan of Lua. I was using it extensively a while ago. I'm losing my voice, maybe. I got a cough. It's at the 3-hour mark. I usually try to stream 4 hours a day, but we'll have to see how it goes. If I keep coughing, I might not be able to talk. Yeah, ECS is a relatively new thing, right? So really ECS is just a way to organize the data and logic of the game, right? to put all the data in the components and all of the logic in the systems. So my components have no logic and my systems have no data. Otherwise, it's just moving around data and code. It's not really that new, right? It's maybe just the pattern is new, but the data is the same. Right, so I'm removing this little part in the front. We're going to call this push hero, and it needed what did push hero need? Okay, the Lua interpreter and the index, right? No, the actual hero. Actually, I need to get the index from it, so let's not do this here, but pass the hero index and do this inside of there. Right, so we'll put that here, I guess. I need to get the hero's info again. And the... Okay, I think I know what I want to do. This is not a static method, so we will do self arrow, which means I don't need self there. I can get the list directly, and then hero index goes here. We get the hero, and then we're going to make a new user data, and here I was going to have a class for this, right? Yeah, this again goes here. And self goes here. What did I call that? Script hero? Yes, script hero. Oh, I already had a push hero ready to go. Let's remove that. Actually, this... Yeah, it needs Lua. Okay. This got moved, right? Down to here. Is that the same? Yep. Okay. Script hero. That goes here. This just becomes script hero. And I don't need that little comment there. That copies there. So we're making a new pointer to one, and then we're actually constructing it. And why did I do it this way? I think it's because I don't think I need to do it this way. We can actually have it be a plain structure, right? And then remove one level of indirection, and then we don't need to do a new. We can just fill in the things, right? The only things I really need to fill in are the index. I need the index. And the pointer. Address of the hero, I guess. And the meta table is hero. Right, so script NPC is now script hero. And this becomes hero finalizer, hero index, and these are static. And this is does not need to be indirected like that. And I don't need to do this. I don't need to do this at all. The only thing that the scripts need right now is score. So if it's the score, we're going to push as an integer the self hero score. That's all I need right now. I don't need all this other stuff. else push nil, right? So I just need to define this script here. It's going to be a plain structure. We can put it anywhere. I can put it here. Struct script hero. So because it's created from Lua, it needs to be it needs to be all primitive types. So that's fine. We just have a index and a hero, right? And let me think about this. Is that all I need to do? Finalizer, right? I think we're good. Let's try it out. Uh-oh, not all paths return a value. From line 127. Oh, right. We're supposed to return the number of things we're returning on the stack. This one returns nothing. 0. Okay, let's try it out. So I do it. Then I start the game. It crashed. Let's find out where the crash is. I have this set up in the debugger. So we can just run it and then run the game again. Find out where it crashed. Interesting. Oh, we're not running it from the correct place. Let me fix that. That needs to be running from the stage. So stage. Now run it. Up and running. Start the game. The game crash is here. Let's look at the call stack. Let's clear that out. I don't need that. Inline frames, huh? Wait, what is it doing? It's copying the shared pointer. Why would that be a crash? It's looking up heroes from the components, right? So that is here. Oh, I didn't run the constructor. That's why. Whenever you do that, you have to do the in-place constructor. Right there. New heroes shared pointer. There we go. That is important. Do it. And actually, I wonder if I could do this in 2 steps. I want just placement new. If placement new takes a parameter, I can just put self in there and then not have to do the assignment. If this works, let me try that. It crashed again. Okay, let's try again. Crash is here now. Why is it crashing here? Access violation reading null pointer. Is that the thread we're in? Is this null? No? Oh, it's here. Okay, I think I need to rebuild it with debug instead of release with debug info. let's do that. Good thing rebuilding is quick because this is a small prototype. See, it's done already. Well, almost. Linking. Okay. Okay, I need to run this do it script once to stage the executable, but then after that I can debug again. Get it to crash one more time. And maybe learn. Okay, it's there. It's crashing. The last hero is null. Hero index is some huge number. Okay, this isn't good. How did that happen? And why is it showing me that context? Am I just clicking the wrong place? Probably I'm just clicking the wrong place. Yeah, it's here. All right. So right, we're in the middle of calling update on the systems, and it got into Lua somewhere where we're iterating the heroes. It had already printed out our hero scored 0 points. So it got the first hero. I'm guessing it's going to the second hero. It should have pushed nil. It should have gotten back into here. Let me single step through this. So we will repeat the run and connect. Okay. The first time through, it is null, or nil. So we push hero 1. The second time through, it is not nil. We recover... Oh, wait a minute. It's double pointer, that's why. Yeah, I see it. I decided to make it 1 level of indirection, not 2. That be the problem. I think. Famous last words when you say that's the problem. You want to actually see it fixed first. Okay, that was the problem. Alright, so now as I score points by collecting the treasure, hey, look at that. Now Lua knows we've scored, knows the score. Oh, it crashed though. It crashed! Looks like we're corrupting the heap at some point. I wonder if there's in the garbage collector if I did the wrong thing. I bet you it was. Let's look in the finalizer for a hero. Hero finalizer. No, it's the correct thing. Let me just look for this. See if we ever do the wrong level of indirection anywhere. Nope. Okay, so the problem is somewhere else. Well, it worked for a while and then it crashed. Let me see it happen here in the debugger. So collect some treasures. At some point it's going to run the garbage collector and crash, right? There it goes. You can see it was working. It was, the Lua script knew how many points we had. It just gets to where we crash here on delete. So I'm corrupting the heap somehow. So that shows up here as an invalid address specified to validate the heap. Yeah, I probably corrupted the heap. So how could I have corrupted the heap? It's messing with these raw pointers is usually the problem. Yeah, see, it's when it's doing garbage collection. I mean, it looks like it looks okay. Let me think about this. So what does push hero do? Size of script hero. That's just a structure with 2 things in it. Oh, wait a minute. Why am I calling delete self? That's wrong. We don't want to do that. Yeah, because Lua itself is destroying it for us. Yeah, I don't want to call delete cell. I don't actually need a finalizer. Let's remove the finalizer. It's if I had two levels of indirection, I want to do a delete there. So I do not want or need a finalizer. Yeah, said who, you were right. I'm pretty sure. Because the Lua destroys the user data. It's if the user data itself is a pointer to something else that I have to delete it. So I only do the two steps of two levels of indirection if the final pointer is to an object which has a C++ destructor, right? Because C code doesn't know how to call the C++ destructor. So I make the first level always a plain data structure. And if I need more than a plain data structure, then this is the second level. All right, so this hopefully will not crash. And then I'll just be doing more of the same. We'll be doing the actual health system. Yay, not crashing. It's probably run the garbage collector at least once now. And it has not crashed. Okay, time to put all the chips in, I guess. We will take out the old health system and try to reproduce it in Lua. Okay, let's go back to, now we can keep it debug. So all in would be, let's just write the script. So we don't need to do a diagnostic message. I just need to port this code now from health, which I don't see in my list, so I'm going to find it again. The health system is here. Hunger system, sorry, not health. So this tick not mod 10 not 0 would be if tick mod 10 is not equal to 0, then return. Actually, we can just make it a one-liner, right? Yeah, just a C struct, exactly. I don't call free, I let Lua call free for me. The Lua handles the first level, so it'll call free on the C struct for me. Oh, it actually frees based off the number of bytes I told it, right? No, free just frees a pointer. It allocates raw bytes based on what I tell it in new user data, this second argument, right? Like, so that's for pushing the components. Why did I call it push Lua? Anyway, the push hero here. New user data, I just did the size of the structure, and then I initialized the structure. So this does the malloc for us. Actually, you know what it does? It uses the allocator we give it, so it'll end up going into... didn't I have it up here? No, it was in script host. It'll end up going into the allocator we give it, Lua allocator. So we're calling realloc, and then we're calling free if it's from the garbage collector. So I could have put a breakpoint here and saw it being destroyed if I wanted. Yeah, the free knows. The heap knows how big the block is. The realloc, of course, you have to tell it how many bytes you want. Okay, so we're comparing this. Let me pin that to this. So that's that first line, and then we're iterating through the heroes, and we want to get the health component. So I'll say health. Actually, there's a way to make local variables, right? So not making globals. Local. We want local in front of these. So local health. The 4, I think it's automatically local. So we don't have to make a local hero, it's automatic, right? So local health is components. Get component, get entity component of type. And it's health So I guess we'll just represent it as strings, right? And the entity ID. So hero dot entity ID, which I have to add that to the index now. And I keep having to remind myself, Lua does not use semicolons. If it's nil, if health, how do you say nil is nil? Just equals nil. Then, is there a way to continue in a loop? Or do I just need to put everything into an else? I don't remember. Let me look it up. Lua loop continue. I think like they said, yeah, there is no continue because you're supposed to just use a go to, right? Go to and continue. Right, there's go to continue. So we can do that. Because I want to kind of read a little bit nicer. So it's go to next hero, I guess. End. And then at the end, it's next hero. I know, go to. Kind of scary, huh? But they explain why, right? Interesting that you have the Stack Overflow answers that aren't marked as the accepted answer. You would think that someone would have marked it as answered. No, there's no other answer that's marked as the correct answer. I'm surprised they didn't have a reference to the... There was like a post made by the Lua creators, right? Explaining why they don't have a continue. Reminds you of basic? Yeah. I need to ask Leland Kwong, who's another Twitch streamer, when next time I'm in his channel, does he use goto or not? Or because the alternative would be to have everything inside of the if, like indent one more level, right? Which I guess I could do. It's just I'm going to indent again on position. I could look up both. Yeah, why don't I structure it like that instead of this goto? So it would look like that, only we have to repeat this a few times. So it's position. And that the health has to be, so if health, not nil, is that how you do and? I'm looking at old code to see, how do you do an and? Or is it that way? And, there it is. Okay, actually you can treat it like a Boolean, so I could say if health and position and health is greater than or equal to greater than 0, right? So I can actually say this all in one line. Doing it the Lua way, right? If health and position and health is greater than 0, then health equals... It's actually health is the component. So we need the health component has HP, so it's HP. So health.hp equals health.hp minus 1. There's no minus equals or minus minus in Lua, unfortunately. If health, I misspelled health, didn't I? If health HP is less than or equal to 0, then... I wonder why it wants to outdent that, even though it knows it's Lua. I don't know why. Then we will remember that entity ID, and then we're going to be killing them. So we're going to make a list. called entity starved. And then there's a trick to insert in the end of the list, right? Entities starved, size of entities starved plus 1 equals hero.entityId. And then we just loop through, right? So for I.entityId in I pairs, entities starved. Do. Components dot kill entity entity ID. Right? So that's the Lua equivalent of this C++. So to get it to work, what do I need to add? I need to add the health component, the position component, which I don't need any properties yet. And then I need get entity component of type, and I need kill entity. So I guess we'll do health and position first. So we'll just take all of this stuff and duplicate it. So that's hero. Let's make a little block divider. I'll want to 195. I'll want to make these into separate files probably. Right now we're just I'm just gonna get the health system in there and then go eat lunch. So this is, I mean the hunger. Get the hunger system in there, and then I'll be hungry by the time I'm finished porting the hunger system, and I'll need to go eat. Right, so this is from this point on hero. Let's change heroes. There's a lot of, see, that's capital and that's lowercase, so I can't just do replace all. Okay, let's do this one. See again, it's highlighting too much. Do them one at a time. Health. I'm wondering, can I make this a template? I could probably make a lot of these templates, right? Can you make static templates functions? I'll try that later. Let's just hard code it for now. Yes, let the Hunger Games begin. And what is it? May the best someone win. Okay, this is healths. All right, this is healths index. Yeah, this definitely, I should try to make this into a template. Especially because of the chance of making a typo in any of these places causing grief, right? Elf. Guess I can just look for a hero. Yep, there's one. Yeah, this is going to be... I'm going to want to make a template before I do any more systems, because this is going to be painful to do this 11 times. This is one of those things that I'm doing this in the prototype to learn this, feel this pain once on a small scale, and then come up with a better way to avoid the pain for the real game. Script health. Script health. Okay, we don't need a score, it's HP. And let me go up here and search for hero. Okay, good. So all the health stuff is reasonably replicated. And now I gotta do that for position. One more component type, position. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to just look for health, and just, even though it's going to not match the case, whoops, it screwed that up. Let's just replace, you know what'd be cool is if you could say replace and preserve case. Right? But there's no such thing in here. Actually, there's match case. We can do that. Oh, but I forgot to hit the other button first. See, I always screw that up. So within, from here down to there, hit the button first, which is find in selection, then case, yeah, and then do that. Okay, and then we'll do it with lowercase. Replace all. Actually, that went a lot quicker. I should have done that before. That was a lot quicker. Okay, so position, I don't have any field. I guess I could put them in there. Why not? So what is position? It's just X and Y, right? Yeah, X and Y. So it's X and Y. And then we needed a new index for health, right? Because this is going to do a new the new index is like setting. I need a setter for HP. So let me pull that from this old code here, then this new index. So this goes under health. Health, new index. Remove this. It's static. It is health. New index. And we'll pull the self directly through. And don't need that. Field name. And if it is HP, then we expect a integer. So that's check integer, this one. So this is HP, I guess. Check integer 3. Okay, so it's self, health, HP equals HP. It's an int, okay. So it can be negative. So we can just simplify this. It's just cast to Lua, cast to int, the result of Lua check integer. The check, the way that works is if it's not an integer, it will throw a Lua error. Alright, so store it, and we're done, right? And then all these else's go away. And then I just need to add that to the meta table. Oh, I didn't actually set up the meta table. For health or heroes? I mean, for health or positions? So this is positions. So let's, in selection, change hero to position. And then lowercase hero to lowercase position. And I misspelled position. So that is that to that. Okay, and then this one is healths. In selection, heroes to healths. And then, oh, sorry. Heroes to capital healths. And then lowercase to lowercase. Good. Okay, so. And I need to add the new index. How is that put in the meta table? New index instead of index. Okay, so it's just like index, only it's new index. Cool. And how come oh, it's because it's not in health, it's in health. Oh, and that didn't get replayed. Hold on. I didn't fix that one. This one is health. And that's health. Health new index. Okay. So now we can change the health of a health component, and we have positions, and yeah, they're all, and meta tables are all set up. So what was next? Okay, I needed get entity component type and kill entity. All right, so get entity component of type. So more functions. So let's just add them both at the same time. Entity component type and kill entity. Okay, here, can I use those names? Guess I can, right? Because the impl, what functions does the impl have? It's all script stuff, right? Position, health, hero. Oh, do I have script health? I don't. Oh, I do have it. Okay. Script health is there, and script position? Yes. Okay. All right. Static int that same prototype, standard prototype, and then the last one, kill entity. All right. So we recover. In both cases, we recover these. This one returns nothing, whereas this one can return one thing if the type is right. So the type is the next argument, right? What am I looking for? I'm looking for this. So this is type name. And what other arguments? There's also the entity ID. So that is check integer, right? Entity ID is the third argument. Okay. So if type name equals, I guess we only really need to do health and position, right? Let's have it default to return nothing, which ends up returning nil, right? Is that how we do returning nil? I can't remember. Oh no, we just, okay, we do push nil. I guess you can do it either way, right? If you return 0, but then something uses an assignment, it'll end up getting nil. I think this looks cleaner though. So if we're looking for health, then we're going to call it's what this does, right? This one. And we get back a component. So auto component equals that. And the okay, it's static, so I need that as self. And it's type health. Get entity ID. And this returns a component pointer. Oh, right, and then we can cast it. So actually, we can just say this. If component is null, because that returns, it does return null if there's no entity, right? Let me look. What does that get do? It returns, okay, but it casts it. Casts it to T. Why are we casting to T, actually? Oh, to be non-ambiguous, because that is a certain type. Okay. Right, but it's raw data structure, so there are no thunks or anything, right? I just want to make sure the pointer is convertible without changing the pointer value. It would have crashed if it wasn't. Anyway, if it's null, if we can't find it, then it's push nil. Otherwise, we're going to push a health component. Who stayed in the index? Oh, shoot. Don't know which index it is. Okay, so I can't use the get. I really do have to loop. Yeah, that's what the get does anyway, right? All right, here. I guess I can just make another function. We'll call it, it'll return a size, and we will call it get. Actually, here's where I can conveniently make it 1 based. So we can get Lua index. And it will return 0 if it's not in there. That's what I'll do. So get. Okay, let me get rid of this for a second. I just need to add one more thing to the template. Right here. So it's an alternative called get Lua index. So if we find it, we just return I plus 1. Otherwise, we return 0. Then I can use that back up here in get entity component of type. So we can call get Lua index. So this would be the index. And if it's 0, return null. Otherwise, here, finally I can call push health. It's Lua and then the index, right? Yep. And it goes and fetches it again, really. And that needs to be self arrow. Okay, and then position's the same thing. Only it's type position. And that's push position. Okay. Now for kill entity. What does kill entity normally do? Oh, it calls the kill for all types? Okay. All right. So for component type in, okay, this is self. Kill, okay, I need the entity ID. That is the second argument. Second argument. There we go. So try it out. Now, wait, I need to remove the old health component, and I need to fix these compiler errors. Conversion from size to int. Oh, yeah, why is that a size t? That should just be an int. And we don't need to do the cap. Because we allow... Yeah, we allow negative entity IDs, although I don't use them. Okay, so that goes there and here as well. Oh, wait a minute, that's a 2. $438. What'd I break? Oh, yeah, size T. The type is ambiguous. There we go. All right, so let me remove the old health, the old hunger system. That's easy to do. Shoop. Hunger system gone. Although it's going to render, it's going to render before we apply health. So we'll be behind by 1, right? By 1 tick. It'll render, and then it might kill us, and then the next tick will see that we're dead. Anyway, let's see if it works. There goes nothing. Do it. Connect. Okay, it's not working. Components expected got string. Get entity component of type. Oh, because this needs to be a colon. Yep. What else? This one too here, right? Now here's the cool thing. I can just update the logic right now and then reconnect. Okay, it's still, now we're on to something else. Number expected got nil. Got nil. Why would we get nil? Line 5 again. So, oh, I forgot to connect up entity ID. Okay, this is a C++ change, right? A hero has to have an entity ID. So, that's hero index. While we're at it, we should add it to all the other ones too. Else if field name equals entity ID, Lua push integer self hero entity ID. So let me put it on the others as well. So that needs to go on health as well. Health index. Instead it's health entity ID. And then same thing for position. There we go. Gotta rebuild it. And then redo it. Oh, look, it's working. The health system, it's running in Lua now. That is sweet. So to confirm that, what I can do is without stopping the back end at all, I can update the health system to actually print that we are doing. We can say like components.diagnostic message. Is it diagnostic message? I already forget what I call it. Index. Oh, I know. No, it was it's in the meta table. Yeah, diagnostic message. Okay. So I can say that hero is hungry. And if we put it here, it's a hero starved to death. Feels bad man. All right, so without taking the back end down, I can just run that update to update the Lua code and then start up again. And now every time it ticks down, oh, again, I made a boo-boo. It needs to be a colon. I keep forgetting that. In Lua, it's a colon, not a dot. But still, I can, again, update the script, reconnect to the game, and there we go. Hero is hungry. Hero is hungry. Now, once I die, actually I haven't tested this yet. If I die from starvation, I'll be killed from Lua and not from C++, which will be a first. I've never had a character killed from Lua before. Is this going to be slow starvation? No, the ghosts are going to help me. Okay, now I gotta avoid ghosts. Gotta be pure hunger-based death. Kill that generator while we're at it. Yep, hero starved to death. Feels bad, man. Nice. I like it. And now I can remove these if I want. So that when we restart the game, this is the whole goal, is I can quickly change out or modify the logic of the game without rebuilding the back end. I just change the Lua, it loads the new Lua. Right now I'm having it load the Lua every time we start a new game, but we could have it load the Lua whenever it changes. We could be looking at the file system whenever the Lua file changes, we just reload it right away. Like between game ticks. Right? We could totally do that. Because the systems don't have state, right? They're just pure functions. So it kind of fits the model pretty well. I haven't checked in forever, so let me check this in. Yeah, this is probably a pretty good stopping point. I think what I'll do is I'll continue this work tomorrow, and I'll try to templatize the script wrappers. So this is adding Lua to all the right places. Yep. Okay, we'll check those in separately. So add Lua to the workspace. And this is include systems Lua scripts with the back end. Push that, and then the back end changed. All right. Actually, you know what I'll do? We don't need that hunger system anymore. Let's delete it. Totally don't need it. Moving to the recycle bin. Bye-bye, hunger system. Systems. I actually no longer include it there, so just remove it from the make file. And let's make sure that that still builds. So this will confirm that it really is being done with Lua, right? Without a doubt. Oh, I had an abort. Oops. That's probably because I was still connected, right? Probably don't have a clean shut. I still don't have a clean shutdown. Yep. See, the hunger system's working without the C++ code at all. Been completely deleted. All right. So there's removing and replacing. No, adding the script integration, and then removing the hunger system. Let's stage those separately. The remove hunger system. That's this check-in. Delete hunger. And is that it? Yeah. Remove old C++ hunger system. And then this is all about integrating Lua and adding so integrate Lua-based systems, starting with hunger. Cool. All right, it's in GitHub. You guys can have at it. Actually, I don't know if anyone's tried to build this except maybe Rally Monkey. I think he tried to build it. But yeah, it's there if you guys want to build it. Right there in my GitHub. Okay, so probably what well, actually, sense of accomplishment, right? I am going to go and mark off stuff from my Trello. Integrate components with Lua. Well, we're not completely done. How about, just to make myself feel better, I'll say port health system to Lua. And move that up here, and then another one would be integrate Lua interpreter. We did that one first, and after that, what did I do? I add enough of components. Component manager, I guess what we're calling it, components. Components wrapper to support health system. Okay, so I did that and that and that. Yay. I did 3 things in addition to bringing it in. This technically was just bring in Lua to the project, to the workspace. All right, so what I'll do tomorrow is continue the integration of the components with Lua, and that'll involve, I'm going to try to do it with a template to minimize the redundancy and the making it less error prone, and then porting the rest of the systems over to Lua. So that'll be fun. It'll probably take me the next day. That's what we'll plan to do. So that's going back onto the plate of this/next stream. All right, so I am done for now. I hope you guys enjoyed today. I will spam the usual commands. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific. And in the meantime, I have a Discord. You are welcome to join that. I try to post to my announcements channel a little bit like 10 minutes before I stream. And then the night before, I will add to my notes here. So the today command points here. It'll be a 123 sometime tonight, where I'll probably just say that I'm continuing the systems porting to Lua. And so you can check here later to make sure that's what my plan is. So if you don't care about this Lua stuff, you don't have to watch tomorrow. That's fine with me. I'm just checking off stream to see who is streaming, and I got an error from Twitch. And I'm still getting an error. How come I can't see who I'm following? Oh, there it worked. The 3rd time's the charm. All right. Okay, someone suggested yesterday raiding Jolt Jab, and Jolt Jab is going again today. So maybe I will raid Jolt Jab. I gotta wait through an ad though. In the meantime, let me link. So Jolt Jab, he's a very entertaining dev streamer. He's working on a game in Unity involving, it's like a platformer with like some interesting store stuff, like with a conveyor belt. It's kind of entertaining. So hope you'll enjoy Jolt Jab. And I'm still waiting for the ad to go through so I can see what he's doing. Just to make sure he's still going. He looks like he's still going. So we're going to raid him. Jolt. Oops. Why did I do that? Mistyped. There we go. We're going to add our people to his people. So, anyway. Hope you enjoyed Jolt Jab. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye. Bye.